And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 3 of the Bloody Amateurs podcast. This week, our special guest is Sean Spaceman Rogers, CWL caster extraordinaire. I don't know how to gas you up, to be honest, mate.
It's a shake weight, man. That's all you need. Extraordinaire, open bracket champion, one-time pump jump, undefeated when it comes to casting on the desk. No one's ever been better. So that's why I'm here.
To be honest, mate.
Okay. No, she's quite talented, and honestly, she has the moxie I don't have. So yeah, she's actually been gunning for my job since Anaheim. So I'm actually kind of worried.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you should be. You've done a terrible job.
Excuse me. I really have. Pac-Man's yelled at me multiple times backstage. So.
Pac-Man's yelled at you multiple times.
Yeah, he's pulled me into the green room and screamed at me, which has been pretty terrifying. So.
Well, you just gotta stop saying dumb stuff, to be honest.
That's very true.
That's very true. Yeah.
That's very true.
Anyway, who for everyone who probably knows who you are at this point in time, because they might not have done 2 or 3 months ago, right? I don't know, 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
I mean, like the majority of the audience probably didn't know. I think most of the AM people did, but.
Yeah, but now they do. Now they know who you are. You now cast the open bracket in Call of Duty, and you will be. Well, when this video releases, you will be casting champs. So you will be in the middle of casting champs. Yeah. So you're not done too bad for yourself over the past few
No, really, I really haven't. I texted you, and I came in the summer. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do this summer. Like last summer, I had MLG New Orleans for Gears of War, and then I had finished the summer class. I had the Gears of War event, and then I had San Diego. I had Comic-Con that I helped with Dick Zerto and G Fuel. I helped them at a booth there, and so I got to do that, and that was really cool. And then I finished my summer, and I was like, "What the hell am I going to do? Next summer?" Came in, took 2 summer classes, was fine, finished it, and I was like, "What the hell am I going to do?" Came home one day after class, and I literally saw an email that's from the top of Activision. I can't say who, but I saw an email and said, "Hey, any chance you can be in LA last minute? We need you for the event." I was like, I freaked out. I called my mom. I was like, "Mom, I need a flight." So then that was cool. And then when that finished, they were like, "Hey, we want you to come work Miami and Champs." So I literally went from doing nothing and being a bum to working Anaheim, Miami, and Champs in 2-3 months, which is it's the weirdest damn thing I've ever done. So. No, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for you to be next to me, just telling me I'm an idiot for calling something wrong.
It's not gonna happen, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm getting you at Champs. That's my goal.
If you could get me,
I have about a week from when this is recording, so I think I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That'd be the biggest surprise ever. Can you imagine? Drop the podcast and be like, "Oh, by the way, you're gonna see me on Bravo."
My buddy.
Can you imagine? Oh, I'm making it happen.
Yeah, I'd pay. I'd absolutely pay. You normally casters get paid for casting, but I'd pay to cast. So,
dude, yeah, if it's Champs, I'd pay too. Yeah, if they weren't paying me, I would pay too.
To be fair, it depends how much I have to pay, because
that's true.
I don't have much in my bank account at the moment.
Well, when I went to New Orleans, I paid hotel, flight, and everything, so it was about $1,000.
You paid for that? Did they not pay for your?
No, because it was an audition. It was an audition on Twitter, and they said like, "Hey, we need one more caster for Bravo at the event. Like, if you've ever casted Gears of War and you want to, like, submit your audition." Submitted the last day. I was like, I don't know anything about Gears of War, but I'm gonna try it. Why not? Submitted it, and then I got a call back, and they're like, "Hey, we liked your reel," and I thought it was garbage. And they were like, "Yeah, we want you to come do the event." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Had to learn Gears in a month and a half and learn everything about the players, and then went there and crushed it. But that's literally how it was. I mean, they said if you're gonna be there, we would like for you to come cast. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll be there for sure. Like, I'll be in the event." I was like, "Gotta get a plane, a hotel." It was like $1,400 out of pocket, but that propelled me to do everything else. So I was like, I have to do that. So that's the only time I would say pay your way there, but every other time, no.
It was worth it because you got that, and that got you in with MLG, right? So,
yeah, no, literally. So yeah.
Yeah, you've been casting. So how long now have you been casting Call of Duty?
Oh, since the end of Black Ops 2. So, Jesus, but like, all right, so I'm 22. So what I'll say is, I was like 14, I think, when I started. 13, 14.
Were you a squeaker?
I was so bad. I was so bad, and I sounded bad. But like, I went back and found one of my old clips from Ghost when I was casting, and it's like I sounded somewhat similar to today. It's just worse. And I was like, well, it's just basically just today. And I was like, wow, this is trash. But no, like I didn't take it as seriously as I do now until Black Ops 3. Like Black Ops 2, I tried it a little bit and I got into it, and I was like, okay, this is fun. And then Ghost, I tried it more and I did it more and I liked it, but I didn't want to. I was like, I don't know if I want to be a player because there's so like I was like, I'm not winning a chip. I'm trash. So that was out the window. And then as soon as like middle of Ghost towards AW, I was like, okay, like this is definitely something more fun I would love to do. And that's when I really fell in love with it. And then like watching events, I was like, oh yeah, I can do that. But Black Ops 3 is when I got my first chance to cast at a LAN. And then as soon as the LAN ended, because at the time, like still there wasn't a lot of local stuff. But Black Ops 3 came, and as soon as I did the LAN, I was in the car with my dad on the way back, and I was like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that full time. So Black Ops 3 is when I really like put everything into it. But I've been casting since Black Ops 2, and I took it seriously then. It was just like there wasn't a lot of avenues, right? I mean, Ghost didn't have a lot of local stuff that I can remember. But yeah, it's just been what 2012 to 2019, so 7-8 years.
7-8 years, man. That's a lot.
Yeah. So, dude, people would show up. They're like 14. They'd be like showing up to like locals, and they'd be competing for like I would show up 14. They're like, "What are you here for? You're on a team?" I'm like, "No, I'm casting." They're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just. I've already hung up the sticks.
Yeah,
I'm done.
It's done. It's not good enough to play. Are you good enough to play?
No.
Were you ever good enough to play?
I think I think this about everything. I think when I was playing, I was good enough to be on a team. Like maybe not, obviously not a pro team, but I was good enough I beat semi-pros. I was good enough to be on a decent team. But I also wasn't putting in my all the time. Like I wasn't putting in 100% of my time. Like I was still at school. I was playing sports all the way through college. Mm-hmm. So there were things that like when you're like 14, you had to commit. Like Scump and Nade, they committed full time. If I committed full time, I know I have the drive and the ability to have the talent. I know I could have probably gone on a pro team and probably played because it's just my work ethic. Like I know I would have put in the work to make that happen. Yeah. But it was literally choosing between school and trying to do other things and like doing that. And at the time it was so uncertain what esports even was or what it meant. So I was like, yeah, I want to keep playing baseball and doing all that stuff. So, but I knew pretty quickly casting was the right way to go. I mean, it would seem safer.
It's fun. It's more fun as well.
It is more fun. It's also more stressful. People think that players are stressed out and it's hard for them. Being a caster is probably more difficult than being a player. I honestly think it's a lot harder to be a pro caster than it is a player. Because I think so. And I've had this talk a couple of times because here's the thing. It's being a pro player, or being a professional player or someone who can be at that level. It's literally, can you perform? That's it. Like look at Booga at the Fortnite World Cup. He's 16. He was around in a couple of the cups, but other than that, I mean, like he wasn't a top name, at least. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. But he wasn't a top name from what I recall. And I've casted Fortnite, and he was not a top name. Right. And he shows up and he performs. He does what he's supposed to do. Comes in, he plays well, he wins the entire thing. He's now a number one name. And same thing with most players. Like if you show up, as long as you're a good player at COD, you shoot straight, you have good awareness, everything. If you're a good player, you'll get picked up by a good team. Like it's all about skill. That's really what it is. And team building and chemistry and the ability to work with others comes naturally. But are you a good player? That's the most important thing. Yeah. And if you're a good player, you will get picked up. Casting is sort of similar. It's like if you're a good caster, you'll get recognized, but it's not as structured for casting. Like players can go to locals and get their name out there and like they can scrim with pros. Casting is like, yeah, it's about skill, but it's also about who you know and your connections, your personality, your reach. Are you more than just the voice and the knowledge? Like, what are you as a person? Like, how many layers do you have to you? Yes, you can cast. Most people in the world can cast, but are you good at it? And can you be next level with it? Like the best casters make it seem like the most simple job on the planet. Anyone can cast. I honestly believe anyone can cast, but it's not everyone can be great at it. And that's and Maven is an example of someone who makes it look so damn easy that you're like, oh, I can do that. And then you try it and you're like, holy shit, this is unbelievably hard.
The amount of people. What
I think it's harder than playing sometimes. I really do.
Do you think that sort of then to what extent does it annoy you then when people talk trash about casters and casting?
And it's really, I mean, it only bothers me like when they say things that are just like, criticism doesn't bother me, and it doesn't bother me. I don't think it bothers most people. I think that it's when it turns from criticism to just
plain witch
like
hunting.
That, or just like someone's being an idiot. Like like criticism is fine. Like at events, I'll read the comments. I'll read the comments after events or like the day before if I know I messed up. Like the thing is, people forget. Casters know when they messed up. Like when I know I've said something wrong, or I stutter, or I say the wrong team or something. Like I know it in the moment. I know immediately I said the wrong thing. You try to move on. It's not like we don't see it or hear it ourselves. Because I don't know if you're the same way, but when I'm casting, I'm like casting the game and paying attention to it, but also paying attention to what I say, how I say it, what words I use, and everything.
Well,
so it's like
you kind of automatically just sort of think about that, right?
Exactly. Like I'm always thinking about what I'm saying in the moment. So when I mess up, I know it. So criticism doesn't bother me because that's like, someone's like, hey, like, you said this team name instead of this, or hey, by the way, this is their history, not this. I'm like, oh, okay, I messed up. I need to fix that. I will do my best to make sure that doesn't happen again. But the thing that annoys me is when people are like saying like, oh, these casters are trash, doesn't really bother me. I mean, like everyone talks shit. I talk shit. Like if it was a perfect world, you could be like, if a player does bad, be like, wow, this player's some garbage. And I've said that too, like, but like as a joke, right? Like you're like I talked about Envy and I said in the beginning of the year, I said, Silly's playing like absolute trash. And it wasn't as like an assault, an insult. It was more of like in a exaggerated observation. It was like just me being like kind of like someone that can just be really out there and crazy with what they say, but it was trying to bring personality into it because it's like you're trying to talk to your friends, you're trying to have a conversation. So like if I was talking to you, I'd be like, dude, Silly's playing like trash right now. But that's how it's supposed to, you know what I mean? That's how it's supposed to be. And people were like, yo, that's unprofessional. You can't say that. But I'm like, but you're missing the point. Yes, it may have sounded weird, but the point is that he was playing really bad in the beginning of the season. Yeah, he turned it around. But and I think that's where the line is. So it's like most of the time I can understand people. They're like, oh, this caster's trash, or these casters suck. I'm like, they're just being, they're just being themselves, right? They're just saying things. And I'm like, I don't really care. Like everyone's their own person. But I think when it's like you said, witch hunting, like when people go out of their way, like there was even the person who commented about Allie at Miami. There's some guy. I think he owns 3 Kings, I think. He was like, can somebody get me her credentials? He's always giving these motivational speeches.
Yeah, so
yeah. And he was like, can somebody give me her credentials and like what she's doing? And at first I was, and off the rip, I was like, okay, step back from the situation. I know he's trying to say like, how did she get here? And I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he was trying to just ask, where is she from? How'd she get involved? But he did it in such a way that was so wrong. He was like, what are her credentials? Why is she up here? I'm like, and then he said something about like her being a girl, and that's the reason why. And Chance came in, and he actually defended her, and he defended me too, but I wasn't even involved. But I was looking at that, and that's the type of people in those comments where I'm like, you're just being a fucking ass. Like I'm like, why? Like what is that's not criticism. It's not saying she needs to work on this or that. It's saying she's up there because she's a girl, and why is she even up there? Is it because she's a girl? I'm like, really? Like there's things you can say, and you're being an idiot. Like and that's something that I've learned a lot as a caster is that like you run into people who say idiotic things on Twitter all the time. And I've gotten a lot more cynical and been like, I'll just be like, you're flat out wrong. Someone who does it perfectly is Benson. Like if you say something stupid, they'd be like, you're wrong. Like you're saying something stupid. And you have to learn how to do that because people will say dumb things all the time. Hell, I say dumb things all the time. But no, yeah, to be a short and sweet point. Yeah, I think the witch hunting is just stupid as hell. But no, criticism doesn't bother me. And you're the same way too. I mean, I know you like if someone says something dumb, you're like, dude, you're an idiot. But I mean, we're used to it. Like we're used to people being idiots. Like we're cool.
I don't know. I'd be honest. I think I'm a lot more fragile. I think I'll use the fragile
really
than you. Yeah.
You'll learn. You'll get better.
I'm trying.
You'll get better.
It takes.
No, it's because we care so much. Because we care so much about our craft. It is a craft. Casting is a craft. It takes a lot of work. It takes more work, practice, and sacrifice than most people ever think it would. And it's incredibly taxing and draining mentally and physically. And it makes my anxiety go through the roof. And that's the thing is that it's not like a player where you can bounce back in the next game. It's because if you're good at the end of the day, if you have a bad game, people still know you're good. If you're casting and you have a bad cast, you're only as good as your last cast.
Yeah.
Right. So like if Scump has a bad event, no one's going to be like, oh, Scump fell off. They're going to be able to look at what he's built. And yes, he had a bad event, but he's still a top player. For us, it's like we could have a good resume, a good couple of casts, but if we have one bad game or one bad day, my Fridays are the worst at every event. I always have bad Fridays, and I'm trying to work on that. But it's because you're trying to get used to it. Your voice is getting in rhythm. You're trying to get comfortable with everything. But like if you have one bad cast, you get on your own head, and people will look at you like, wow, like he's struggling. And it's hard because you're like you care so much about how much work you've put in, what it means to you, the craft. So no, casting is same thing I said. It's a lot more stressful than people think, and we care so much about it. You and I specifically, we care so much about it. So when people say things, yeah, it sucks, it hurts, but you can only react to how you think you're doing. So you'll learn. Don't worry, you'll get there.
I'll get there eventually. Yeah, I won't get there eventually, but I'll get there.
Shut up. I'm getting you to champs.
Mate, if you get me a champs,
the duo.
Maybe.
If the duo's go, if I get you to champs,
oh mate.
If I get you to champs, you have to buy me a booster box. How about that?
Mate, I'll buy you 5 booster boxes.
Deal. I got to deal. I heard it first.
I'm not joking. I didn't say what booster boxes.
I want one Eldraine because I don't even know. Actually, I don't even know what the set looks like.
When's it out? October.
Damn. October 4th. Yeah.
So pre-releases.
Ooh, yes, because I'm gonna be in New Jersey for a Smash event, so I'm gonna try to get a pre-release there when I can.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm never gonna go to pre-release by myself. So
you should have. I went to Dominaria pre-release, which was awesome, but I went to a Two-Headed Giants pre-release for War of the Spark. That was fun. Mm-hmm. You should have gone.
I don't know. I'd love to. Well, look, you fly me out to a pre-release.
Deal. Hey man, I will fly you out. I will fly you out. I'll get you. We'll go to a pre-release. We'll go play Commander. How about that?
No, I'd never play. I don't
understand
the draw to
so
Commander.
It's so good. It's so fun.
Just for everyone else, maybe you listen to the podcast and you remember what the heck we're talking about. It's Magic the Gathering. It's the best game ever.
The greatest game ever.
It's the one esport. It is an esport now because obviously MTG Arena and such.
Yeah.
It's the one esport.
I would love to cast it. Oh my god,
man!
But here's the thing. Here's what scares me: is that I literally 90% of my YouTube content is Magic videos or like deck techs or commentaries, and everything I do outside of esports is either literally watching Marvel movies or playing Magic. And it's like that game, with how much I've been playing it and how long I've been playing it, I still don't know jack shit. And if you cast one of those events, like if you ever listen to them, they can be playing a monocolor deck, which is the easiest kind of color and easiest deck to play in the game. Play a monocolor deck with a very simple strat, basically throw attackers and blockers on the board and just try to out snuff your opponent, right? You could play that and they'd be talking about some shit that's like, here, this is where this connects. And I'm like,
well far into the future.
I'm like, what the hell? So that's the thing. That's what scares me, man. They know it.
Modern, I couldn't do. So
oh hell no! I would never.
Modern being, so again, just for everyone at home.
I would like to do.
Go on.
I would love to do like Arena. And real quick, if I had to cast an event, honestly, I'd rather Frontier doesn't even exist anymore. I would love to do Pauper or
Pauper. Okay.
Pauper, yeah. I would like to do that or Vintage. I would love to do Vintage because that's literally just, hey, here comes a Trop. Here come a Bolt the Bird. Turn 1 Black Lotus. Like I would love to do that because that's easy, simple, fun, and it would be so exciting. I mean, I'd love to do that.
No, I could do standard. I could do standard right now because it's like so easy to tell.
Yeah.
It's very easy to call. Like someone's playing black blue. Turn 2. Here comes a Fort Erasure. You're about to get got. Like
I know. And with how modern's going with like we talked about the Urza Thopter deck now. Like that's all these decks are like Jund is now I think the 8th best deck in the league, but a lot of decks have come through and like it's always one, right? It's always one damn deck that comes out and it's like, hey, we can find a cheap way to win and completely destroy the game for everyone else, and that sits on top for like 3 weeks until they ban.
M20 War brought in what was it? War brought in all of the planeswalkers, so like that fricked the meta pretty hard, to be honest with you. Like
I wish Modern Horizons was in that.
You wish
I do. I wish Modern Horizons was in Arena. I would love to draft that.
I think I honestly feel like it would mess with the meta too much.
It would. No, it would. It would.
Same reason that they don't have Historic in there at the moment because the Armin I never understood this because Kaladesh is where I first started out. But like, as I understand it, people said Kaladesh was like broken. It's like really bad.
It was super broken because that's when they introduced. If I'm correct, that's when they introduced Thopters.
Yes.
And
I have a deck.
Thopter tokens like that. The whole the Thopters were insane. Sahil Ray was a great planeswalker, but like people would run like Metalwork Colossus and Metal Gear Colossus. Or not Metalwork. They run Metal Gear Colossus and like one of the other, I forget what the other mythics is, but they would run like that and then a Soul Ring Masterpiece and like a Thopter, and they would just create tokens, and then you basically could equip like a Caravan onto your Colossus, and from there gained like 5/5 haste or something like that. And it was just the mechanics were so broken. I remember when Kaladesh came out, I think I got a booster box of that. I was super hyped. I first came in in Journey into Nyx, and that has a special place in my heart because I first came in.
Wasn't far behind me. That was like
what
was that?
That was in
2015.
2014, I think. Yeah, 2014. I came in. I started playing my freshman year of college. I'm a senior now, so about 4 years ago. That's my first. I bought one booster pack of that. That's the first time I played. But then from there, like I went forward with the sets, and I also went back and got all the other sets. So I've been literally from alpha till now. I've got all of that. So, but yeah, no, that's when I forget. Yeah, we're not that far behind. We started around the same
was
time.
the first Magic set that made me really, really enjoy Magic. Like up to that point, I bought the Origins Deck Builders Toolkit just to get into it. And I think then afterwards, I didn't buy any of the expansions in between. I just bought Kaladesh.
I never really understood it, and I didn't think I would get that big into it. But it was more like I saw a couple of videos, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting as like a hobby. Bought it. I honestly bought it because I liked the artwork, and I was like, this is really cool. And I started collecting singles as artwork cards, and then I started playing, and I was like, whoa, this is a lot cooler. So it was literally just like a whim. I was like, I never thought I would get into it. But if you haven't played Magic, download Arena and play it. It's so fun.
It's what we're going to do after this.
Oh, yeah, we're doing right there, right after.
Smack Sean up.
I'm about to get the smoke, dude.
You're about to get elementals.
My decks have not changed. That's the problem. I've been trying to get
M20.
No, I haven't played it because one, I've been busy, and two, I've been trying to get. I need 6 more rares, 2 from Dominaria, 1 from I think Guilds of Ravnica to finish my mono white deck that I want to build. Yes,
but why are you buying? Why are you getting wild cards for Dominaria stuff? Because that stuff's going to rotate out in October.
I know. Well, because I wanted to.
Pointless then, isn't it?
Damn it! I've already spent too much time trying to make that deck. So mad.
You need to play daily. I've started building up wild
cards. I know. I used to play daily so much, and I just stopped. I don't know why. I just did.
The game. I think the game at the moment, it's currently.
The lag is insane.
Oh yeah. Exactly. First of all, the game is messed up. Like Wizards have messed up that game, especially with the last update because it brought in the like the battle pass-esque thing. Secondly, like the meta itself at the moment is so. It's just bad. It's really bad.
It is, and that's what people are complaining about.
Teferi is just so annoying. I know that's been annoying since Dominaria, but like the amount of like Teferi decks I come up against is just frustrating.
Teferi's protection, even Teferi and War of the Spark. But yeah, like it's literally been. I knew Blue was controlling the meta for a while.
But it stayed as well through like M20. That's the thing that's annoyed me. Like, right now, I remember reading like a top 10 deck lists and like
Jesus,
Jesus Christ. And what is white and blue again? What's that color combination? Like, what's the name of it? Something control. I forgot what it's called. Like white blue control. It's just like it's been there for every single expansion for like the past 4 expansions. It's ridiculous. And then on top of that, now you've got Dimir control, which
is it Esper control or am I crazy? I don't think that's Esper control.
No,
is it Esper control?
I'm pretty sure it's Esper. Yeah, Esper control is freaking annoying. And then Dimir control or just Dimir sort of. I think it's just Dimir control. It's just annoying, man. It's like 4 Erasure, turn 2. Then you get like some. I don't know what this hostage taker is in there. Dimir Spywug, just really annoying cards to be honest. It's just like and then
I just looked up Esper control just to get a quick idea. Yeah, it's basically Teferi, Hero of Dominaria.
Yeah.
Teferi, Time Raveler, and Narset from War of the Spark. 2 of them, and then 1 from Dominaria. It's literally just a bunch of Teferis and creating flyers.
I was so excited for War of the Spark, man. It renewed
my
liked
interest. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it, and I thought like I'm not really big into like the storyline of Magic. I know the story, but I'm not like following it like the Eldrazi path and the Gatewatch. But like it was just cool. It was like, oh, everyone's coming together. Here's all these brand new cards, these new Planeswalkers. I was like, okay, this is fun. Yeah, I like it.
It was cool because Planeswalkers up to that point hadn't been a big thing. Like they've been a big thing. Like if you had
they were huge, but this was literally like this was the Infinity War of like
it was like
Magic.
For Planeswalkers up to this point, you didn't really see them. You saw them, but they were like if a Planeswalker came out, you had to bum rush it. Like you'd have to get rid of it straight away. But now it's like you've got Planeswalkers that are uncommon. We don't have common Planeswalkers.
Wow, Hero Dominaria has gone down to $31.
I still wouldn't buy it. I've only ever bought one card.
The most
expensive card I've ever bought was I've just bought an Omnath. The new Omnath, Locus of the Royal.
Yep.
I just bought that, and that was like £11.
Oh, I put you to shame. Because it used to be when I pulled it out of the box of Dominaria. And it was like 40 at the time when I pulled it. It went up to 100, and now it's back down to 30. Wow, I put you to shame. The most expensive card I think I bought, the one I'm going to buy is a graded, not graded Power 9. It's a Mox Ruby from Unlimited. I want to buy that. It's like $3,000, but I'm saving up.
Why?
But the most expensive card I have, shut up. The most expensive card I have is a Underground Sea graded revised. That's like, I bought it for like $350, and now it's like $780 or something.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I don't like.
I bought that for my birthday.
I bought a £25 card the other day, and I was like, yeah, boy.
I pulled a Nico Bolas, and I was hyped.
I did not the War one, but the Hour of Devastation one. I pulled it and traded it for like a.
Oh, dude! Back in the day, when Eternal Masters came out, not Eternal, sorry. Was it Eternal? Yeah, when Eternal Masters came out, one of my favorite sets. I bought a Jace Mind Sculptor for 40, and I bought a Mana Crypt for 50. Jace is like 160 or something right now, and Mana Crypt is now like 280.
Jace
I'm like,
Sculptor.
What? Yes.
Is that much? I swear I have one in my. I have a deck that's fully. Is that the one that like you can scry one, draw a card, return -2, return a creature to hand?
Jace, used Jace right now is 117. A used Jace is 117.
What's the ability on it? What's the bottom ability?
Let me look. It's minus 12. Minus 12. Exile all cards from target player's library, then shuffle that player's library into his or her hand. Dude, also, real quick, on Arena, when people like to mill their own deck into their hand and then back into their deck, and that means I have to mill my hand into my graveyard, I hate that shit, because they'll literally do it 3 turns in a row, and they mill their entire graveyard and deck into their hand and then back into their deck, and I'm sitting there with 1 card left, and I'm like, really? This is how we're playing? It is the most frustrating damn thing.
So
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Prefer, like really, I don't know why. I'm just a basic hoe, but like I just prefer casual sort of combat based Magic.
Yes, that's green. I like that.
Yeah, I've got like.
I know. I think my favorite's white, and I'm like, I just like I'll do maybe a crazy thing here and there with like I'll run an artifact or an enchantment and make things spicy.
Your white deck, a Johnny's Welcome.
It's annoying.
It's annoying. It's a pretty standard deck now, but I didn't know that at the time.
Everyone else is like, oh, here comes these 7 or 10 contingencies, and when they all go into effect, it's like everything crazy. I'm like, I just want to play, put creatures down, swing, I block, it doesn't do anything, I lose a creature. Oh, you countered my spell. Okay, let's back and forth until someone wins. I just want that. Like, it's just everyone else going above and beyond is freaking me out. So
standard is mad at the moment, but hopefully it settles down when the rotation. Comes to pass. That being said, I'm enjoying my elementals at the moment, which you'll see later. But yeah, that's Magic. Magic is really fun. If you don't already play Magic, you should play. Get into it. It is a very complex game. I will say that. I've been trying to teach my girlfriend, and my friend from uni wants to play. So it's a complex game. Takes a lot to learn, I'll be honest. But once you do, it's very rewarding, I think, personally.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely get yourself involved. Yeah.
It's fun. But that's Magic anyway. So if anyone wants to get 2 casters who are pretty good at casting and also know a lot about Magic,
please hit us up.
Please hit us up. I'd love to do it, man. But we'll see. But Call of Duty, that's our main game mode. But that's not what we started.
Back to what we started.
Call of Duty. That's not what you started, is it? Because you did the sort of like the grind of Halo and Gears as well, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, I started in COD, and I was the one guy who was like, I don't want to be known as anything other than the COD guy. I'm worried if I do other games, people think I can't do COD as well as I'm doing it now. That's what I thought at the time. Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to lose the grind that I have in COD. And that's the stupidest mentality to ever have, because because doing more games has opened my world and made me more popular and got me more jobs. But I've also realized that I love games that I knew I always did. I just was an idiot. Started with COD, then literally last year, last year I was like, okay, let's try Gears. First Gears time ever casted a MLG event, which makes no sense, but I did it. And I crushed. That was one of my best casts I've ever done.
Yeah.
And I felt so good doing it. And I realized in the middle of the event, I was like, I love Gears of War. Like, this is amazing. So then from there, I started going super hard in Gears. Same thing I was doing with COD. Was still doing the COD AM events everywhere in the country, like I've always done. And then I did Gears events, and I would go to the Microsoft store, help run the Gears 4 events, and then I would cast. Me and Veli would work with Mixer, that's owned by Microsoft, and we would do Gears events with them. And then E-League contacted Mixer, and they had us do like the placement matches for the E-League event they just did. So me and Veli would cast over those and the box matches so those players could compete and get a chance to go to E-League. So like Gears took off, and I'm looking forward to Gears 5 so I can do more events there. So did that, and then did Call of Duty back and forth, and then in January I got the chance to go to St. Louis, and I did the Halo 3 Classic that HCS put on. And Halo 3 is my favorite game of all time, so that was like a dream. So doing that, and that's when I casted with Golden Boy, and being able to be around all those guys was amazing. So then and that's like I've casted Halo before, but like it was literally like on a side station at an event. So I got to do Halo at a big event, which is awesome, and I'm doing more Halo in the future that I can't talk about yet. So that's cool. So then I'm down to 3 games, and then I did a Fortnite finals. There was a World Cup qualifier in April. It was $100,000 event, and I got to cast Fortnite for the first time, and I loved doing that, and that was fun. So it was literally just me bouncing from game to game, and now I'm doing an Apex event and a Smash event in October. So right now I think I'm up to 6 or 7 games that I'm casting and currently working in that I have events lined up for. And I found that once you get yourself involved in another game, it's easier to jump and just keep going. And 2 is that you have to just jump and go for it, because 99% of the time, other than Halo, I knew nothing about how to cast these games. And it was like signing up or getting an audition and being able to be selected. And then a month before the event, cramming and learning as much as possible. And people think that might not be a good idea, but it's literally forced me to adapt and to cast new games. And I think it's the best way for me to learn. So yeah, that's been my method, is like taking the leap with Gears was important. And then from there, I was like, oh, casting more games is the way to go. So I started doing more and more. Now I'm doing 7 different esports titles, which has been awesome because I continue to stay versatile. And I'm getting more exposure, doing more events, and just honestly, like I'll do any game. Like I did a premiere match for E-League for Rainbow Six. I casted one of the games there, and it was just like literally knew nothing about the game before going in, and learned what I could. But I haven't done Rainbow since then because it's an incredibly hard game. But yeah, like just do anything.
It's horrible.
Once you do one, just do anything, because like having that kind of stuff on your resume is important. Yep. But yeah, it's literally just doing whatever comes up. If a new game comes up, I want to cast it. I don't care what it is. It just like it's the way to go. But yeah, that's my spiel, dude. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
so
you got to cast some good games, Halo.
Oh yeah,
and
Fortnite is so fun to cast. Yeah. It is so fun. It's just yelling. It's just yelling. That's all it is.
I was looking at it. I'm not gonna lie. Like this is probably gonna shut down any chance of me casting Fortnite. But then again, I don't really want to. I'm not gonna lie. I watched like Fortnite a few months ago. I think I was watching like some event. And it just looks so hectic.
It is, and that's why it's so fun. I love it. It's so fun because it's literally chaos 24/7.
Yeah.
And it's like it's fun to cast. Like it's not like, oh yeah, it's like Call of Duty's fun to cast. I mean, no, like Fortnite is fun because like I don't play it every day. I barely play it that much because I'm usually either busy with other things. I don't play video games as much anymore. I played one game of the Gears 5 beta and I had to go do other stuff, and I was excited to play that.
Yeah.
But like I don't have time to play as many video games as I'd like. But yeah, like Fortnite, like I just keep up with the competitive scene. I watch it, and then casting, it's literally the most fun I've had in a long time casting an event. But yeah, literally, like the other day, I got Mario Maker 2. I played that for an hour last night, and I went to sleep. And that's the most I've played a video game in months. And I feel, I don't have the time. Yeah, I feel like it's weird. People think that. They're like, if you're not a player, they think, oh, you're a caster. Like you spend all day playing video game stuff. I'm like, no, I'm usually networking or working on side stuff.
There's a lot of stuff you have to do. Like you got to do a lot of research as well. People don't realize that. We actually put
research, networking, working on your resume, working on reels, working on VOD, working on there is so much stuff other than just casting you have to do that. I literally don't play video games anymore. My free time goes to Netflix. Like if I have free time, I'm like, I need to catch up on Stranger Things. I just caught up with Stranger Things.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I just got all the way through.
Oh man, that was a crazy season. Are you sad?
I think it's 1, 2, 3 for me. Like best, second best, third best.
I think I'd have to rewatch 1 and 2.
I loved 1. I finally committed to watching the show, and I watched it. I watched all 3 seasons in like 3 days, and 1 was. I got back from Miami, and I was like, I'm watching the whole thing. And 1 was so good. 2 was good. It wasn't as good as 1 in my opinion, but I liked what they did with 2. I really did. 3 was interesting. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. I think it was good. I like what they did with some characters.
I really liked it. Do you think?
I wonder where they're gonna go now. That's why I don't know where they. No.
No.
I thought it was at first, but I don't think he's dead now. Like you said, I don't think he's dead.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, not like you said. My friend told me he was like, spoilers by the way.
Spoiler. It says sorry guys. I haven't spoiled it.
When the Russians come in at the end of the last episode of season 3, and they're like, no, not the American, the other guy, and they put him in the pit with the Demogorg. I was like, oh, maybe that's Hopper, but no, I just don't know what they're gonna do. I think they should go back and look at the Upside Down more and just kind of focus on that.
Yeah,
but I don't know what they do.
Time in the Upside Down this season.
No, there was none. Yeah, it's because they destroyed it in season 2, right?
Well, they didn't destroy the Upside Down. Did they destroy it? They just have.
Oh, they closed it. They closed it. Yeah.
But like. They should definitely do that. We had a couple of flashbacks in there.
Season 2 was like a horror fucking film, dude. It was scary. Season 2 was kind of brutal.
I don't like horrors. Like I'm a scared boy when it comes to horrors. I don't. Big fat.
When Will got possessed, I was like, oh god, this is weird. But no, I liked Stranger Things a lot.
It's good. It's good. Well,
yeah, I really liked it.
Well, because American Netflix is different to UK Netflix.
It's on Netflix. I got super into it, and when it was over, I was really sad. I was like, damn it, Steve Harrington's a god, and I love him. So
he wasn't in season 1. I really didn't like him.
No, he was a dick. But no, I love Steve Harrington. But
now he's
nice. No, that's a good show.
I will admit, right, one of my favorite things about season 3 was the twist of like him getting with what's her name? I forgot her name now.
The girl on the scoops?
Yeah, the girl. And then it's like, and it's like the twist that actually, no, she never likes him like that.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was really cool.
That was a very nice subversion of expectations.
I liked when they were in the Russian base. I was like, there's no way they're going to kill him, but what if, like, what if they just did? Like, what if they killed Steve and the girl? And when they were, like, drugged out of their minds and they were answering questions, that was hilarious.
That was
But no, yeah, that show's been really good. That's been my free time after Miami was just watch Stranger Things.
Just watch Stranger Things among other TV shows. Yeah,
I watched Winter Soldier too, and that was
I've watched
good for me.
It's like, I don't know. When I came out of Endgame, I need to watch Endgame again. I'm still sort of debating whether or not Winter Soldier or Endgame is my favorite Marvel movie.
So this is the same thing I've said to everyone. So I took my parents to see it, and my mom is one of those people who like doesn't really know all the backstories, but she just like she enjoys the movies and she'll go with things. Yeah. And my dad's gotten really into it in the past couple of years. His favorite movie is Guardians, and I love Guardians 1.
Yeah.
He loved Infinity War. Like him and I think that Infinity War. I think it's the best Marvel movie because I think, and I know people disagree with this, but in my personal opinion, I think the story is fantastic. I think the dialogue is fantastic. I think Thanos is the perfectly written villain. I think everything about it's amazing. Mm-hmm. He watched Endgame and he said he loved most of it, but he said he thought it was weak because like and I agree, like the time travel doesn't really make sense. And I agree with that. And he was like, that's where
does the time travel not make sense?
So like two things. One, if Thanos comes into the future, he no longer exists in the past. So it's like there's a lot of things.
What do you mean he no longer exists in the past?
So let's think about it this way. First, let's break it down.
Conversation we'll be having later on.
No, I'm not gonna go super into it. But what I will say is I agree with him. Like the time travel in Endgame it does mess itself up in a way. But honestly, I am such a huge fan of the MCU. I don't even give a shit. Like I'll ignore that because I think that Endgame. At first, I was like, "This is the greatest movie I've ever seen." Then what my dad was telling me, I was like, "You know what? Maybe it's not as good as I thought." Then I saw it like 4 more times. I was like, "No, it's just as good." I think Endgame it's between Infinity War and Endgame. I think they're both. I think Endgame's a little bit better.
Is Winter Soldier not even in the conversation?
Winter Soldier's top 5 for me, easy.
Top 5.
Top 5, yeah.
That's not good enough.
Yeah. I think Infinity War is a better solo movie. Endgame's a better experience. It's 22 movies in one. I think it's a better.
I didn't like the ending so much of Endgame. Like, I didn't like.
A lot of people had an issue with that. I loved the ending. I thought it was the best ending to any movie I've ever seen.
The only issue I have with Endgame is Cap. Spoilers again.
I spent 2 hours figuring out that timeline, and I think I did it. Of Cap.
No. I don't care about the timeline issues. My primary issue with it is the fact that Cap goes back to Peggy. It just doesn't make any sense.
I think that's great.
His whole development has been about like moving on from his past in the 90s.
No, but here's why. Here's why it makes sense is because Cap's whole thing was that he never got to have a life. He only could be a soldier and do what he had to do, which was try to do better for everyone else, and it always meant him sacrificing something. Tony always had a life, but then he was burdened with the idea of knowing that things are out there, and when he knew that, he felt like he had to act. So Tony's ending was perfect because he knew what he had to do, and he ended it, and he could finally rest and stop worrying about the future of everyone. And I felt the Cap's ending was perfect because he finally could have a normal life. Because that's one thing he could never have. He couldn't when he finally got to the army. Then he has to go and save Bucky and everyone. He can't drink because alcohol doesn't affect him. And then he has to die and not have a normal life because he has to save everyone. He wakes up, he has to become part of the Avengers, and he has to figure out what it's like to be in normal times. Then he has to take down S.H.I.E.L.D. Then he has to tell Tony that signing the Accord is not the right idea, and it means that they have to be responsible for themselves. It's like Cap could never just take a breather and be a guy. Like, he couldn't. He had to be a soldier all the time. So I love the ending because it was like he finished the fight. Tony sacrificed himself to save everyone because he crawled over the wire, and Steve proved that he was more than just a serum in a bottle. And he could go back in time, retire as Captain America, and go live a normal life with someone he was supposed to live with in the first movie. And I thought that was the most perfect ending ever. I loved it.
In rebuttal.
In response.
Winter Soldier and Civil War sets up him moving on. Right, Winter Soldier and Civil War are two of the most perfect Marvel movies in existence.
That's the thing. I think the first Captain America is also one of the best Marvel movies ever.
It's nowhere near as good.
No, it's not as good as the second and third. But I think actually going back and watching it, I think it's fantastic. I think he has the best trilogy by far.
Yeah,
easy.
Okay, I agree with that easily because Thor is Thor 1 and 2 is terrible. Thor
1's decent. Thor 2 is Thor 3 is amazing, but
and Thor 2 is terrible. But
Ragnarok is a fantastic movie.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm not looking forward to Love and Thunder, I'll be honest with you.
I'm not either, but I don't know what they're going to do.
I just think they're just going to go a bit too far off the edge.
I don't know what they're going to do.
You need to embrace Taika, but don't go too far with it. Anyway, back to the point. So, they set up Sharon as the perfect move on, and if they would have done better with her in Civil War, I remember them saying as well. I remember reading on Reddit recently.
That's true, yeah.
That they actually there is a deleted scene where Steve is living with Sharon in Endgame. They're living together, they're actually together.
Where did Sharon go after Civil War?
Well, exactly. It doesn't make sense.
She left him at the airport. Because she knew what was going to happen. She knew they were going to fight. So she left him at the airport, but then she didn't show up in Infinity War or Endgame. So I don't know where her character is. I just don't know.
Well, that's the fact. They've written her off, but even though they set her up as this big love interest, it doesn't make sense. Stop. This just doesn't make sense. Here's
what I'll say. I think that if let's say you were in Cap's shoes, right? So you're kind of in a thing with Sharon, then you go and fight one of your close allies in Tony at an airport. You're on the run. You can't contact anyone because odds are they know Sharon's ex-Shield, so they can't contact. If anyone will really know where Cap is, they know that they're together, so they might go to her. So Cap's I can't go to her because who knows who's listening. So he's on the run, comes back in Infinity War, does this whole thing. Then they spend 5 years. Was she snapped away? We don't know.
Well, no, because we don't. Canonically, is it canonically? I don't know. Basically,
was she snapped away?
Officially, the answer is we don't know, but there is a deleted scene that exists supposedly with them living together. So
it's he was so caught up in doing Infinity War stuff and Endgame stuff, where it's if I was in his shoes, I probably would have forgotten about her too and been hey, I have a chance to go back in time and be with the one person I was supposed to be with. Yeah, I know, I just screwed her niece, but still, who cares? Peggy's bad. So, yeah, facts. Just be hey, by the way, your niece who's not born yet. Yeah.
Oh yeah, growing up. Oh yeah.
That's awkward. That's true.
Your brother is bringing around his daughter.
That's so weird, but
definitely haven't done that.
But no, I think that Endgame and Infinity War are top 2 movies.
I'd say that I've got
for what they were able to pull off in the visuals and the story and the emotion behind it. I think it's top 2.
I've got Endgame and I said it's undecided on Endgame.
That's the thing. Winter Soldier is such a good movie.
It's so amazing. I've watched it 30 times.
I've seen it so many times. I've seen Infinity War 100 times.
But the thing is, Winter Soldier, right? It's not just a perfect superhero movie.
It's a great spy movie.
It's a great movie.
Yes, it is a fantastic movie.
You could watch it knowing nothing about Captain America.
Exactly. You could know absolutely nothing, and it's amazing. A fantastic movie. Yeah,
it's so exhilarating and perfectly done, and the twist
and the dialogue is so good. Yeah,
if you'd have watched it in 2014 as well, because I know you didn't get to experience this, but for me as a big Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan, to watch that in 2014 like knowing what was going on, and then leading up to that in like season 1 was like an incredible sort of like twist. That's like, shit, everyone's Hydra. Oh boy,
that's true.
Still to this day, the best thing that's happened in the MCU, in my opinion. Even like it's up there. Hydra twist, I still think is a little bit better than the snap. Actually,
that is the thing. Is that the Hydra twist all made sense. Like when you look at it, you're like, wow, this. That's one of the things the MCU does really well. The MCU does well is the interconnectivity, and also everything, every big problem is all related by events that we didn't look into before. So it's like
not so much anymore. Good. Like the internet,
now it's
is dead now a little bit because the TV shows are down the drain,
and also because like now that they've wrapped up everything essentially, like it's a whole new chapter now, so it's not going to be as like actually, I say that, but Far From Home had perfect interconnectivity.
So, I loved Far From Home. Yeah.
Spoiler alert again, but like the scientist from the first Iron Man, like I thought that.
What was the other one? There was another character that came back. I've forgotten who it was now. Like there was like it was part of the villains lot. Like
Mysterio. It was Mysterio. It wasn't a Mysterio. It was he developed Barf for Tony.
Maybe.
Remember in Civil War, he was like Barf, and he was backstage. But I have to see that movie again because I saw it and I was in a bad seat, but I saw it and
where was it like?
I was in IMAX and I was like the second row, so I was like looking up. I really like that movie. Everyone said it was amazing and one of the best Marvel movies. I need to see it again because I think it is, but I didn't get a good viewing the first time, and I want to see it again to see the second time.
On my first viewing,
I liked it a lot.
I came out saying the first half was boring as hell. It just was.
First half is pretty boring, but it has to set up everything.
It's really mediocre. Second half is like up there as like with an amazing, like just such an amazing moment. And like
Spider-Man 2
is credits amazing. Tag is amazing. So it's just so perfectly done. Both
Spider-Man 2 is one of the best too. I actually watched that recently too. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2.
Like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the ugly duckling of Spider-Man 2.
That's just trash. That Spider-Man series is trash.
Terrible.
But no, Spider-Man 2 is an amazing movie. Like Dark Knight, I'd say best superhero movies. No, in no order, but just like it's ones that aren't like in a huge universe, like Dark Knight and Spider-Man 2 and Logan. Because Logan is kind of an X-Men, but not really. Logan's amazing. I think, but those like three, like the Dark Knight with Heath Ledger's Joker, Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi, and then Logan are like some of the best superhero movies ever. They're so good. But yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, no, we love superheroes. We do. That's like the other thing. You didn't get into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. very far, did you? You got to
season 1 was good, and then when Ward went bad, I liked that. But like as soon as Skye got powers, I was like,
you didn't like the whole.
Because you know why? You know why? It was because it was because when I honestly don't remember the names. Who was the duo? The lab duo.
You don't remember
when Fitz kind of when he hit his head and kind of turned into a dick, I felt so bad for the character that it kind of turned me off because I enjoyed the character so much. Like when they just weren't, the chemistry wasn't the same. I just was like, I'm kind of done.
They fixed that though. You need to get back to it, bro. You need to.
I do. Same thing with Flash. Like Flash seasons 1 and 2. Yeah. 1 and 2 were amazing. Season 3 was pretty good. Season 4 I haven't watched.
With the Arrowverse, it's Arrowverse, isn't it? Yeah, with the Arrowverse, like I stopped bothering around Arrow season 4 with all of it. Like I was watching it all. I was watching Legends of Tomorrow. I was watching Arrow. I was watching Flash.
That's why I'm excited for the new Marvel shows because these ones I like them, but they're cheesy to an extent, and it's like after a while I just stopped caring. But like the new Marvel stuff, they're putting in full production, full budgets. Like I'm hoping for like really solid TV. Like I would love for that to be. Like imagine like Winter Soldier stuff with like Falcon and like and Hawkeye stuff that's just connected to the universe, great budget, great effects. Like great stories, dialogue. I would love that. I would love that. That would be great. So I'm excited for that. That's gonna be fun.
I'm super excited for it, but I'm a little bit disappointed at the same time because obviously, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is my favorite show. Like full stop.
I'm waiting for Fantastic Four movie. That's what I want next.
Yeah, that's confirmed. I mean, so it's.
I know.
Happen.
I just don't know when it's coming.
It's like it's a while off now, which is sad. But yeah. So we'll get back to COD now because we've derailed quite far. Magic and Marvel and whatever Arrowverse.
All the things we love. Yeah.
All the things we love. To be fair, it's a really chillax podcast. We can talk as long as we want. COD champs. That's what I want to talk about. So you're going to be casting COD champs. Who are you looking out for at COD champs to pull off the biggest upsets? I mean, what are you?
Biggest upsets? I think FaZe can make a good run.
Yeah.
I think FaZe, they're like the one step. They're in a better position. They're like what E United used to be, where they're so close. But I think FaZe is better at this stage than where E United was at that stage.
Okay.
I think in terms of upsets, I don't really see anything crazy. I think
What about the pros? What about the pros
100.
versus amateurs? What about that?
I mean, the only thing I see is probably Mazer can probably steal a series off like
Just
midnight.
Mazer?
Well, I was gonna say Tommy's team, the boys. I think the top three is I forget Tommy's team. I think it's
Sicario Gaming. Are you looking at
Sicario.
the
Okay,
roster?
yeah, it's Sicario. Because I was also thinking of Mad Cat for some reason.
Mhm.
No, Sicario. I think Sicario, the boys, and Mazer can steal a couple series. I don't think they're gonna go that far though, just because it's the same thing with all sports that have ever existed, right? Like when pros drop down and they play with amateurs, they play against amateurs. It's not saying they aren't good because they are pros and they've played before and they know how to beat pros. It's that the pros are competing against pros. AMs are competing against AMs. There is a noticeable gap between skill and game mechanics. So I'm not saying they can't win games and win series. It's that statistically and historically, it just doesn't happen, right? So I think they can steal games. I think Mazer's one of the best teams there. But in terms of like the AM bracket, I think they can steal a couple series. But you're going against pros. Even with the worst pro team there, I still think they're better than the majority of the AM teams. Yeah. So I don't think we're going to see an open team win the event. I don't think that's going to happen at all.
Never,
No.
never. I mean, to be fair, there's some crazy odds at the moment in the UK for
Yeah,
betting.
no.
Like,
But no, yeah, even with that said, I don't think anything like in terms of prediction wise, if United plays the way they did at Miami, I think they're going to win the whole thing. I honestly do. People are saying 100 Thieves. Here's the thing with 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves had the huge task of winning 3 in a row. I think that one, that's an incredibly hard task that no one has done in the CWL standard format, except for Optic, which wasn't in the CWL format, so that doesn't count. But they're the only team that's been able to do back to back to back with Nade Shot, Scump, Crim, and Formal back in AW. Even then, it was a feat. But here's the thing, and it's the same thing Optic had, and the same thing Rise had and TK had last year. 100 Thieves is still, I believe, the best roster put together in this game. Problem they're having is not that they had a bad weekend. Yes, they played one series and got thrown into losers. But I think they've been figured out. And it's the same thing that every NFL team goes through when they start off hot. It's the same thing that every basketball team goes through. It's the same thing every pro COD team like Optic and AW, Rise Nation and TK in World War II, and 100 Thieves in this game. They start off hot or they start off slow, they get hot, and they're smoking everyone. And all of a sudden, people figure them out. I don't know how they do it. I'm not in the comms. I'm not in the scrims. I don't know what it is. I can only give you so much analysis. But I think it's a situation of 100 Thieves is still a top roster, and they can still win the whole event. That's no shade. Like if they play well, they can. If they play the way that we know they can play, they'll smoke everyone. Not a question. But I think they got figured out. I think they came in, they had a bad event for a reason, and I think that people understand how to play them now. And but for a real prediction, I honestly think it's either going to be United. I think Gen G will get to the grand finals. I don't think they're going to win though, and the reason I say that is because Gen G is a unbelievably talented roster, but they don't have closers. They don't have people who can close the game. Right. And that the reason, and people are like, well, they went 3-0 over E United, and Envoy's amazing, and Mox is playing amazing. They have the guns and the power to kick themselves into a grand finals, but if they're in losers, they won't win because they don't have the experience there yet. And I think that, yes, you have the explosive sub duo there, and Envoy is a freak. He's so good, and that team is amazing. But they need Naga Fen's not really this person. They need that veteran. They need that guy. They need a Karma. They need a Karma who comes in on Sunday and he's like, even if we're not shooting straight, we know how to win mentally. We know what to do to win. And the thing that I see with them is the same thing I've been saying all year is that this team, they can win if they're in winner bracket. If they win through winner's bracket, if they get to grand finals and they're in winner's bracket, they can win the event. Problem is that they just can't get that second gear. And it showed on E United. People were saying, oh my God, they won 3-0 first series. Like they're smoking them. And they did. I was in the green room with all of the talent. And I looked at Nameless and I looked right up and I said, E United's going to come out the next series and they're going to smoke them 3-0. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yep, this is the best thing that could happen for them. Here's why. Gen G comes in, they win 3-0. That gives E United time to be like, we have no idea what just happened. We got blasted. Clearly nothing worked. Let's regain. The longer that series goes, the more mistakes E United can make and the more they get in their own heads. That's been their biggest thing. It's not that they couldn't win a chip. It's that they got in their own heads and they couldn't come big in crunch time. United had a complete wipe. That series went by so fast. It was all momentum for Gen G. United gets a chance to reset. They come back and they dismantle Gen G. Like, it was not close. I think they won 3-1. They just smoked them. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like Gen G can get there and they can punch their way through that first series. But the second one, they're running on fumes, and that's what scares me. But I think Gen G will get to the finals. I don't think they're going to win if they come through losers. If they get through winners, I think they can win the whole thing. But I have to be. If EU and I can play the same way, that's the thing. Is they're inconsistent as hell. If they play the same way, they're going to win the event. Okay. Optic's not going to win champs unless everyone starts firing on all cylinders and they play like Optic we saw at Vegas, which they haven't done all year. I don't know what the hell's wrong with that team. I couldn't tell you. I think it's a lack of motivation. Maybe it's and with everything that's been happening to them this year, with all of the team stuff, I understand why. But they don't look like the same team. No one looks like they're on the same page. Yeah. Optic is what I've always said. They are the most inconsistent team in the game. And when Optic will either smoke everyone at an event or disappoint you and drop into top 16. They will either come into champs, and if they're the Optic we're expecting from this year, they will struggle and they will not place well. If they play as Optic Gaming that plays on when everyone's firing on all cylinders, Optic can beat any team in the game. I firmly believe that. Yeah. So we're either going to get Optic that smokes everyone and wins the event, or we're going to get Optic that places middle of the pack. That's how they've always been as an organization. That's how they always will be. So honestly, I think United's my number one pick. Everyone's saying 100 Thieves. I think they got figured out. I don't think they're going to win the event.
You got 100 Thieves as well, the whole sword.
FaZe can make the hell of a run. I mean, they almost beat United, but United's so good. I mean, when Pristini plays well, they don't lose. They don't. Mm-hmm. And Simp and Abizi are playing amazing together. So that's the thing. If Pristini plays well this weekend and Clay gets going, not a chance. Not this weekend, sorry. But when champs comes, no one's touching them. Well, they're so good.
Like I said, you got to consider the Sorg thing as well. Like the whole fact that the Sorgs now have been buffed, so they're now like the.
And look at the duos. It's literally it's Gen G and United. The United duos are better than Gen G.
Dylan on rec, man.
Dylan doesn't have. He needs more. Dylan, and somebody said this, and I don't want to say I agree or disagree with it. I'm just repeating what I heard. Somebody said like Dylan is one of the best players in the game, and he's being wasted on that EU roster, and they're ruining his prime. And I don't agree or disagree. That's not up to me to make that call because I haven't put myself in to think about that situation enough. But I will say, yes, Dylan's one of the best in the game, but it is a team game. And right now, the best sub in the game from it is honestly, it's I would say Simp, Dylan, and Envoy. Mm-hmm. I think Simp is miles ahead of Dylan. And I know that sounds crazy, but think about what he brings to S&D, what he brings to his hard point ability. I think that Simp is the best sub in the game. I've been saying this since the kid was 13. He's going to be a superstar. And I mean, him and Abizi have been snapping. I mean, they've been frying everyone. And that's why United is so scary now, because they finally figured it out. They've been waiting 3 years to finally kick next gear. We knew they could win. It was just, can they get past that mental hurdle? Can they kick in the next gear? They did it. And they showed that they are one of the best teams. And I think that they can do it.
Yeah.
But just they can keep that consistency. Who knows, man?
All right, final question. Who are you most excited to sort of cast with at champs?
Cast with or cast over?
With.
Ooh, it depends. So I don't even know who our duos are, so I don't even know. Because we're gonna be on Bravo and Charlie, I think. In terms of like hope, like I would love to cast with someone like Miles or Momo or something, like cast with one of those guys. But in terms of like realistically, what I think is gonna happen, I don't know. I guess Blaze, Ton probably, but Ton and Bryce are a duo. So I don't even know. The thing is, I would love to. I don't know what our duos look like, or who's even going, other than me and a couple other people. So
yeah,
I have to wait and see.
Yeah. Well, I wish you the best of luck at champs. I'm sure you'll do a
Oh, you and me are casting. Duh.
Oh, right. Yeah. I can't wait. Honestly, I'm excited to talk about
the Bravo boys are back.
Yeah, I'm over in like Umbrella at the moment.
I'm so excited.
I'm excited to see you cast at champs. I'm sure everyone else will be. Of course, when this video releases, it'll be in the middle of champs. So
most likely, yeah.
Hopefully, you will have done a great job. You might have died on your way to LA.
I hope so. I hope not to crash or anything. God. All those great thoughts in my head.
Who knows? Thank you so much for coming on, Sean. I'll end the podcast here. It's just under an hour, so capped it off really well. Wow. Again, good luck at champs. To everyone watching and listening at home, this podcast will be releasing every Friday. This is episode 3, so we're at the halfway point in the season. Sean, stop. I hate you. 6. So we've got 3 more episodes to go. Very excited to get through the rest of the season. I really hate Sean. I really hate him. If you guys don't hate Spaceman, What a rubbish name Spaceman is, by the way. You should know that.
Everyone hates it. So
yeah, you should. Spaceman. Why? Anyway, yeah. So thanks so much for coming on, Sean, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.